watch this new video regarding, it's a business English video. It's particularly concentrating on 4 very key words used in a lot of business, economics and also politics. To introduce 4 words which are absolutely fundamental in all types of business, economics, politics, any type of strategic planning. And the 4 words are objectives, goals, aims and targets. These are the plural forms, obviously. 2 of these words are verbs, the rest are nouns, and I'll talk about this in a little while. So when we talk about strategic planning, this could be military planning, this could be economic planning, political planning, or as we are in a business environment constantly, we are driven or we are orientated to targets or goals. So these 4 words, I'm sure you know, certainly objectives and goals are very common words in business. So in this tutorial, I hope to teach you something about these words that maybe you don't know already, or you can use as an additional way of expressing concepts using these words, because I'm going to give you quite a few examples of sentences and phrases with the most common collocations which are used together with these words. Now, some of these collocations you may know, some may be new. So I hope you learned something, and I really hope you enjoyed the video, and please watch it until the end. There's some good information. So I'll give you some examples of a few uses of the words aim and target, which are really interesting. So politicians love to manipulate language, and in this quotation from the newspaper, the business secretary stressed that his party has not committed itself irrevocably to getting rid of the current deficit in 2017-2018. Quotation, "We were very careful. Remember, I got involved in that negotiation, and 1917-18 is an aim rather than a target. That allows us to take account of changes in the condition of the economy, and it is a 3-year forward-rolling goal. It sets an aim. It doesn't set a rigid target which disregards economic conditions." So very often as a noun form, aim and target are used synonymously. But here's a classic example, and this is in a political statement. This is a quotation I've taken from a very recent article in the Guardian newspaper, a newspaper in England. And this is by a politician. It's a business secretary. However, what you have to look at is the Macmillan dictionary definition for the noun form of aim. You see it here, the thing that you hope to achieve by doing something. And the alternative definition of target, something that you try to achieve. There is a subtle difference here. Okay, let's start with a quick revision of the words objective and goal, and also the difference between the noun, aim, and the verb to aim. Target. What do you think of when somebody says the word target? Well, I think of this image here, which I hope is appearing on my right. This is a sports target. It has a sports context, and then the objective of the sport, whether it's archery or shooting, well, we know what it is. It's to hit the target. Now you could also say the aim of the sport is to hit the target. So in this case, in this phrase, the aim or the objective are both synonymous. So in this sports analogy, here we have an archer, there he is, and what's he doing? With the verb form, he's aiming at the target. There goes the arrow, and he hits the target. Now let's quickly look at the word goal. What do you think when somebody says the word goal? Well, I think a lot of you will think of this image. That is, a goal on a football pitch or another type of game which has this goal apparatus. What's the objective? Well, we know. It's to hit the ball into the goal. And in the same way as the archer aims for the target, the football player or the hockey player aims for the goal. As in many, many cases, sporting context phrases used in sport transfer very, very easily into business, economics, political strategy, etc. So when we start talking about goals and objectives, these are plural forms of the noun. These are connected with a more abstract idea. That is, not a shape or a fixed object, but these are aspirations. These are things that we want to achieve, to be successful. Now, to achieve, to be successful, to have success, are all connected with these four words which we are looking at in this tutorial. When you talk about personal goals, usually the word goal is the preferred word, but in business both words are used very, very frequently and interchangeable. Beginning, I talked about strategic planning, where you don't need to have a particular plan or a strategy to use the word goal or objective, but in particular goal, let's talk about life goals. Different people have different goals for their life as they grow up, from children to teenagers and into working adults. Now, some life goals can be very, very generous and say, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy, I want to be a good person. These are generic goals, but they last all your life. These are quite different, I think, from a goal or an objective set by a company or a government to achieve something, whether it's short term, a number of years, or long term, a longer period of time. So we have this collocation, and I think we can add at the top life goals, short-term goals / objectives, long-term goals / objectives. Now, whether they're personal or business motivated, these goals or objectives have to be set, or they have to be established. So we set a goal or we set a target. I'm introducing the fourth word here. We set a target. So to set or to establish means we can work towards something that we have actually given ourselves as our objective. Now, I said given ourselves. It could be that a sales manager gives his sales team a lot of different goals and objectives. can actually add a phrasal verb with set if you want to give a more detailed plan of your objectives. And this is to set out your objectives. This is more detailed. To set out. They may ask, do we need these goals, objectives? Do we need to set them personally to be successful, happy people? Well, that's a very personal thing, but governments, educational authorities, and of course businesses, they have to set objectives so that they can be measured in their performance. They do this by establishing goals, giving goals and objectives in their manifestos or in their school education programs to achieve results. Now, to achieve results is a key word when you are talking about these words. The results are measured by the goals you set, the time you set your goals for. So there are two factors here. What is the number, if it is a number, and what are the conditions you want to achieve? That is, what is the goal? And the second factor is, when do you want to achieve this goal? So you give yourself a time frame or a time period to achieve the goal, or we can use another word here, another verb, to meet your goals. So another key word when we're talking about this is motivation. So ambitious people or ambitious companies or ambitious governments set themselves ambitious goals. Now, that hopefully will create the right motivation for people to work harder to achieve those goals. Now we have the word target. Now this is particularly used by governments. It's used by all businesses. They all have targets, sales targets, etc. What's interesting about governmental policy and the use of targets, right at the beginning of the video I said society. I didn't say society, but I inferred that we are target driven or target orientated. Now, the British government policy, like many governments, is very target-driven. They set themselves some incredible policy targets, so now you're measured, your success as a government is measured about, did you hit your targets or did you miss them? So the skill in setting targets, if you're a business director for your salespeople, if you're a government minister, if you are setting targets for a management body like a health service, is to make them achievable. If these targets are the negative form unrealistic, you see the prefix here, unrealistic. If they are not realistic, then you will never hit your target, or you will never meet your target, and therefore everybody feels demotivated and you don't have that feel-good factor in your program. Another word which is the opposite of ambitious is conservative. Conservative governments usually set conservative targets. So they can be met. There's a realistic opportunity to meet your targets, and therefore your success will be measured in this way. You set your targets, you hit them all, and therefore people will say, wow, you were successful. Right, one point about target is in the same way as aim, it can be a noun, it can also be a verb, to target. To target is used a lot in marketing and advertising. When you want to sell a product or a service, you target a group of people. Not always, but very often you want to use this verb to target in this way. Here's an example. We want to target customers between the ages of 21 and 30 in our next advertising campaign. So it's a useful verb. I'm going to do another video later on about segmentation or market segmentation, and this is a word which collocates very well. You target a particular segment or a particular demographic of people that you want to sell your services or products. Very useful verb, to target. So this is all interesting language. Let's look at some different phrases which will give plenty of examples for you to write down. I've written them also in my description, so you've got lots of phrases which you can use if you're writing or speaking and you're talking about these 4 key words. So there you are, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope some of the sentences, examples and collocations will be useful in your practical English or your English studies. So thank you very much. If you have watched the video to the end, well done, and please subscribe, share and comment on the video. I will see you hopefully in another video in the future. Go and look at my YouTube channel. You may find some other videos which you will like. Thanks for watching and see you next time.